Hey, brother.
Hey, sister. Hey, brother.
Hey, sister.
Today we have a very important game, the New Orleans Saints against the Atlanta Falcons, that just took place. And it was really important because in the NFC standings, the Falcons came into the game at 12-2, and the Saints came into the game at 10-4.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, of course I'm right. I'm always right.
Okay, anyways, and coming into the game, the Falcons were 19-1 at home, and
Matt Ryan is a very good quarterback, leading that team to that 19-1 streak. But the big key in the game today, I would say, would be the turnovers, right?
definitely Drew Brees had 2 interceptions. That's the second most in the NFL, next to Peyton Manning.
Yeah, and 4 turnovers complete in the game, and very important turnovers because the Falcons fumbled the ball at the 1-yard line, and then they fumbled the ball at their own 20-yard line. So those were very important for the game that took place.
Definitely.
I would say also Drew Brees was another key point of the game because him having an amazing game and turning around from those 2 interceptions and coming back and leading his team to the victory was very important because, like I had mentioned earlier, that they needed that win to be considered a top contender in the NFC.
Yeah, he definitely had a great game. The offensive line didn't necessarily do a great job in this game, but he definitely stuck it out and played until the end.
That was also a big part of the game because Atlanta came with a lot of pressure on defense. They came with multiple blitzes. I think they came with 6 or 7 people almost every single time. And Drew Brees had to learn how to stay in the pocket and get out of the pocket when he needed to. And
he looked very nervous this game.
He did, but he did a good job at the end in taking his team and leading them to the victory.
Sure did. I was very surprised. I thought the Falcons were going to pull it out.
It was a very defensive game also because the defenses came into the game, making it a 17-14 game, and that was really important. I know the Atlanta defense really stepped up in multiple tackles for pretty much their whole defensive team.
Yeah, the Falcons, they did a great job in doing the blitzing on Drew Brees, and that was a main key, and that really did force the turnovers that Drew Brees did have, and the interception that was returned for a touchdown. They did a great job on that.
They really did. But I think that was the key matchup for the game, was the New Orleans offense against the Atlanta defense. Because like we said, the Atlanta defense was amazing. But looking at the New Orleans offense and the passing game,
yeah!
It was very important because the Drew Brees completed passes to 7 people on the team. And that's a very high number of people receiving passes from Drew Brees.
Yes. Usually in a game, it's only 3 or 4 at the most that are actually receiving.
Yes, and they all had a very, very big impact on the game.
Definitely, they really did.
Also, another big key was the offenses and how they performed in the last-minute situations of the game. The New Orleans offense came out and did a wonderful job in driving down the field, but the Atlanta offense,
they didn't really do too well.
It seemed like they didn't show up.
Yeah. I thought that Matt Ryan was going to show us, because this is actually the Falcons' first loss in 24 games at home when they were leading in the 4th quarter. They won 24 games when they were leading in the 4th quarter, so that was definitely a shock to everyone.
Well, I guess all streaks must come to an end sometime, and that one definitely came to an end today. Especially the way that the New Orleans offense ended the game in running the ball and a critical play, deciding to pass on 2nd down and getting the 1st down. That was very important. And this leads us to next week and the other big matchups that we have coming up, because next week we have divisional games all across the board. This gets me excited talking about playoffs in the NFL.
Yeah.
Man, and starting off, we have Atlanta playing Carolina and New Orleans playing Tampa Bay.
Yes.
Those would be 2 interesting games and good games because it all decides who wins the NFC South.
Definitely. I think the Saints and the Buccaneers would be a very great game because you have Josh Freeman, the quarterback for the Buccaneers. He's a fairly new person to the NFL, and his passer rating in the 4th quarter is fairly high, over 94%. And I think the Buccaneers have done a great job this year from going to 3-13 to right now they're 9-7.
Yes, they have done a tremendous job of turning that team around and are on the verge of making the playoffs for this year.
Yes, definitely.
And so I think I have Atlanta coming out on top of Carolina definitely because Carolina's been very disappointing this year. I think they have a good team, but they just aren't able to pull out those close wins.
I just think Carolina, they just need some new coaching, maybe some new personnel. I don't know. Just wasn't a good year for them. Let's just say that.
I say watch out for Carolina in the next couple of years because I think that they'll be a good team contending for the playoffs in the next few years. I have Atlanta winning that one though, and then I have New Orleans beating Tampa Bay because New Orleans really wants to win that division, the NFC South.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with the New Orleans win because I think the Buccaneers, they're really going to come to play. They know what's at stake, and I think that they will definitely bring everything they have to the table. It might not be enough, but I think for this game, they will actually pull it off.
Yeah, and actually for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to make the playoffs, they have to win, and they have to rely on the Giants and the Packers to both lose. So I think it's a long stretch, and I think both teams will come to play, but I have New Orleans coming out on top.
You know I love the Giants, so I wouldn't mind that.
Well, also we have the Packers and the Bears. When you think about that game at the beginning of the year, you would think about defense.
Definitely. And I still do think about defense. I mean, when you think about Bears, that's what you think about. Yeah, Brian Urlacher, and he definitely makes an impact in whatever game that he's playing in. And so I think that the Bears will definitely win that game. I don't even think, it might be close, but at the end, the Bears will win. I think it's going to be 30-16.
I think it'll be a very close game because the Packers are really trying to get that playoff spot, and the Bears want to be spoilers, knowing that if they beat the Packers, then they send the Packers home. So I see the Bears also winning this game in a 30-24 matchup. I know we said that we think about defense when we see these teams, but this year has been an off year for the Chicago Bears defense.
It has. As I was watching them play the Vikings the other day, I was actually quite surprised at how they did, of course, beat the Vikings, but the defense wasn't as great as it has been in the past. And so this actually might be a tough game for them, but no doubt they'll pull it off in the end.
That is very true. Now, the other game that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans are really worried about is the Giants and Redskins matchup.
Yes.
This has been a very crazy year in the NFL, and the Redskins pulled out a close one over the Jacksonville Jaguars last
How
week.
did that happen?
That was a crazy, crazy game.
This is what I call the experimental season in the NFL. I don't know what's going on this season.
Man. But I see the Giants coming out and playing really hard, and I see them overcoming the Redskins with Rex Grossman as quarterback. I think the Giants defense will feed off of that, and they will come back ready to play for this game after a couple of weeks of down times for the defense.
Yeah, the Redskins, I don't know. Rex Grossman, he just shouldn't be in as quarterback. Donovan McNabb should. So I think the Giants will definitely beat him.
I don't want to get into the whole Rex Grossman, Donovan McNabb,
controversy.
Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan controversy.
Kyle Shanahan!
Yeah, his brother, you know his brother, the quarterback.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a crazy situation. But I have the Giants winning that game. And also, we have the NFC West showdown. we came out on the side, the NFC West champions, the Rams and the Seahawks.
I don't know what's going on there. The leader is what, 7-8?
If y'all don't know, the funny thing about the NFC West is the winner automatically gets a bid to the NFC playoffs, but the winner will only be at highest 8-8. So that's been a big letdown for that whole division.
Yes, definitely.
Well, that's the NFC playoff picture, and for the AFC playoff picture, it always seems to be a little more cool and a little more decided towards the end of the year, and it is no different this year.
Definitely. I mean, I thought that, pretty much everyone knew how the Patriots would be. We expected them to be good, and everyone expects the Indianapolis Colts to be good. And this year, they really didn't show up like everyone thought they would.
Wow, it has been a crazy year. It was kind of a turn of events because the Indianapolis usually always start off great, and they end up with, we talk about them resting their starters at the end of the year. And the Chargers usually start off kind of slow and work their way to the playoffs. And it was kind of different because the Chargers this year, they seemed like they were about to do the same thing, but then they kind of let down.
Right.
While at the same time, the Indianapolis Colts started off slow, and they're the ones who are going to be in the playoffs this year.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Well, I guess you heard my pick about Indianapolis beating Tennessee this coming week. And
yeah, definitely. I agree with that pick. I think Peyton Manning's he's not having a great year, but he's definitely pulling through when he needs to, so he'll definitely win this game.
Yeah, and they have managed to win the last few games because they've been necessary to make the playoffs. So I see them winning that and disappointing Jacksonville fans because I see the Jacksonville Jaguars missing the playoffs because of that. And I also see the Houston Texans beating Jacksonville, especially after that close loss against Tim Tebow and the Denver Broncos last week.
Yes, I really love how Tim Tebow played and his enthusiasm for the game. It just really gets the whole team pumped up, and I think that is part of the reason why they did pull the win over Houston.
And so I see Houston beating Jacksonville in a very close one. But the other important one is the winner for the AFC in the Pittsburgh and Baltimore division. I see Pittsburgh coming out over Cleveland because Cleveland has just not had the talent or the players or the coaches to win.
It looks like there is a problem with the whole team there.
Yes, there is. I see both Pittsburgh and Baltimore winning, but I see Pittsburgh staying on top of that division because of the win. And I see Baltimore beating Cincinnati in a close one. And what about Cincinnati?
Yeah, Cincinnati this week. I don't know what happened to them and how they pulled out that win, but that was I was shocked. I think everyone in America was shocked about that.
It's been a crazy...
Especially because T.O. and Ocho Cinco was out. How ironic is that?
Wow.
That they win when they're not playing.
It's been a crazy, crazy year in the NFL this year.
Definitely.
And also, this matchup today, the New Orleans Saints against the Atlanta Falcons, was really, really important because come the second week of the playoffs, we could see this matchup again.
Yes. I think we will see the same outcome that we did today if it's the same matchup.
Well, I kind of see Atlanta coming out on top on that one. I got to see Atlanta coming out on top on that one.
Yeah.
Because week 3, they played 2 close games. They played in week 3 and now here in week 16. And with the Atlanta coming out with the win, 27-24 against New Orleans, the first time, and the Saints obviously winning this one. So I see Atlanta coming out on top for the third matchup of the year.
If they do come out on top, I know we would definitely be hearing more about them because you know how they're already complaining about how they're not getting enough credit for being a great team, as they say. And so if they don't win this game, I think that will shut them up. But if they do, then I think they will start getting the credit that they
We'll also see how the Falcons prepare for the game because they'll be coming off of a bye week, most likely. And I see them coming out and being really fresh and having fresh sets of legs and being able to come out and play to their best ability and overcoming the New Orleans Saints.
Okay, I'm not sure if I agree with that, but because I still think that the Saints will win that game, but I think that's a little biased opinion.
This is an exciting time in the NFL.
It really is.
I'm very excited about this last week and then the playoffs coming up extremely soon.
Definitely.
Now, one of the biggest games I see in the coming week would be... well, that's all. Stay tuned next week for our Wow Mom section with the plays that we thought were just too incredible or too stupid to happen.
Yeah.
Well, stay tuned for our next showing. Hey, brother.
Hey, sister.
And we'll see you next time.
Oh, we didn't say our name.